Now, Kerry Walsh is a building officer from the Hurunui District Council. He's in studio with me now. A very good afternoon to you, Kerry.
Good afternoon.
I would imagine you've got a building background, have you?
Yeah, I've been in the building game since I was sort of 19, 20 years old, so been around a wee while.
All right, and now you are a building officer running a team of how many with the Hurunui District Council?
About 6 of us at the Hurunui. We're between inspectors and processing staff, so we're quite a small team, but pretty busy team.
Yep. So this is all about consenting, that sort of thing.
Yep.
How many consents would you issue roughly in a year in the Hurunui?
Hurunui issues between 400 and 600 consents a year. Depending on how the market's going. But after the earthquakes, we issued in the high range, 600, when there was a lot of rebuilding. But that's slowly been dropping off since, when people have been getting their houses back. So, yeah, it's probably in the lower end of that range now.
Yep, so not so many compared to, say, the Waimakariri area, but then again, you've got a very large geographical area, haven't you?
Yes, we've got a massive area, quite a low population in comparison. But yeah, our inspectors do between 100 and 300 kilometres a day driving. So,
whoa.
So they do a lot of driving.
And that brings us to this very interesting point, and good to see it is too. You now have building officers based in both Hanmer and Cheviot to perhaps cut down on that sort of travel time and yeah, because I would imagine there could be multiple visits to a building site. Is that right?
Yes, for a house, you'd probably go there 9-10 times, right through from foundations, floor slab and framing, check the cladding and the weather tightness, to pre-lining, drainage, and the final. We also check wood burners and the like.
Right. So with a large geographical area, that's a lot of travelling, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a lot of petrol we use, that's for sure, and a lot of mileage on the vehicles.
So good to see these guys now based at Hanmer and Cheviot. So what sort of advice do building officers provide?
Yeah, well, we've got the guys up in Hanmer and Cheviot every second Friday, giving advice out to anyone who wants to call in. So yeah, they give advice on anyone that wants to, interested in building, wanting to know about building consents, just anything building related. We even get into a bit of basic planning advice. So yeah, if you're interested in building, want to know about building, or having complaints about building work, or wanting to know what's going on with your building, come and have a chat. It's all free, and we're available for anything like that. It's independent, and so yeah, the guys are available in Hamnet and Cheviot every second Friday.
Every second Friday, and in Hanmer, where do we find you?
We find us at the Hamner Library, which has got an attached service centre, so our guys will be in there.
Appointments necessary, or just come and join the queue?
Just rock on in, 9 o'clock to 4 o'clock. You can make an appointment if you like, but yeah, just come on in, they'll be there, the sign will be out, and they'll help you as much as they can.
Good stuff, Kerry. What about Cheviot? Where are you there?
We're at the Cheviot Service Centre, which is next to the public toilets there. The same hours there, so just pop into the library, and the service centre's in there. So we'll have a building officer there every second Friday.
Every second Friday. All right. Now, let's have a quick look at what's happening in the Hurunui from a building point of view at the moment. Has COVID sort of slowed things down? Or, where are you in terms of what your expectations were?
Well, we were expecting the market to drop off in the building area, but we haven't really seen that at this stage. It's pretty consistent. In fact, we feel like we're a little bit busier after COVID. But yeah, from a consent number point of view, we're probably down on last year 30 or 40 at this time of the year. But it's still relatively busy. We've issued 88 houses this year in comparison to 115 last year, so it's still pretty buoyant. With most of those houses either going into Amberley or Hamner Springs are the bit of the hot areas as far as building goes.
Yep, well, that's encouraging. And of course, being very much a rural area, I guess you're also consenting a lot of farm buildings and that sort of thing?
Yes, we're seeing a lot of worker accommodation and we're still seeing rebuilds of homesteads that are being badly damaged, because we had quite a number of large homesteads in our district, and they're taking a longer time to get the go-ahead and to get moving again. So we're seeing some quite high-end houses going in as well, which is really great to see.
That's brilliant. Now, Kerry, I, in the deep recesses of my mind, seem to remember something about a change quite recently, in the last 12 months anyway. There is some building work now that does not require a building consent, yeah?
Yes, there always has been a list of work that doesn't require a consent, but that's been expanded to over 60 different building types now that doesn't need a consent. right through from simple carports through to sleep outs to hay barns. So yeah, there's quite a range now you can do without a consent. It does come with some sort of criteria within certain wind zones and certain floor area sizes you can go to. But yeah, I've got some examples here I can talk to about if you like.
Please do.
Yeah. So you can build everyone's got a garden shed. Normally that you could build one up to 10 square metres, no problem at all, as long as it's its own height away from the boundary or any existing house. So a lot of people don't realise that. They'll put the garden shed right on the boundary, and then that's technically not right. So you've got to bring it off the boundary and locate your shed there.
Yep. So when you say the height of the building, is that right to the top of the roof?
Yeah.
Yep.
So if your shed's sort of 2 metres high, you've got to be 2 metres away.
Okay.
So if you remember that rule of thumb, then you're all good. But that rule's been expanded now to 30 square metres. So you can build quite a bit bigger shed, which will please a lot of people, I'm sure, without a consent. But just remember that these buildings can't have any sanitary fixtures in them or kitchens and sort of no plumbing. But they can contain a sleep out if they're used in conjunction with a dwelling.
I'm with you. So the loo and everything's in the dwelling, and
Yep.
you can have a basic sleep out there without a consent.
You can.
As long as there's no plumbing, kitchen. In other words, it's not really a permanent habitable place.
Yeah, well, it can be habitable and permanent, but it can't be a self-contained dwelling. Yeah,
I'm with you. That's
so
clear.
but it can be an extra bedroom or a couple of bedrooms when you're expanding the house
Yes.
outfit. Yeah, so that's a real good move, I think, to make, because 10 square metres was always a bit small.
Yeah, it
And-
was.
Yeah.
This is really good news.
yeah.
I think a few ears will be pricking up at this news. I really do. What else have you got?
So also carports. Before, carports could be built without a consent up to 20 square metres, but now that's been expanded to 40 square metres. But there's only one wee catch with that, and that's they've got to be designed by a CPEng engineer. So if you get an engineer designed, you can build it yourself up to 40 square metres without a consent. So there's a little wee catch with that one. You can't just get out there with the timber and get going. It has to be designed properly, but you're able to build it yourself.
Okay.
So that's a bit of a plus too.
So you would need to be able to show plans, would you?
Yeah, you don't have to involve council for this, but you would need plans. The work still needs to comply with the building code.
Yep.
So you're going to need some sort of plans so the builder or the homeowner knows what he's doing or she's doing. So yeah, I think getting those design done correctly for a start often helps with getting it built right.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
And then,
Give us another example.
other popular things like fireplaces and pizza ovens, outdoor fires. So everyone likes an outdoor fire or pizza oven. Those things don't need building consents anymore. Even though probably not many people took out a building consent anyway prior, but officially
we'll get away with that one.
but officially now they don't need a consent,
Right.
as long as they're a metre away from the house and not higher than 2.5 metres.
Yep.
So that's the good news. And there's just one more, which is quite a new one, and that's hay barns. So if you're in a rural zone, you can build a 110 square metre hay barn without a building consent. But it does come with a few wee traps. And that's, you've got to be in a rural zone for a start. So you can't be in a residential or rural residential zone. So a straight rural zone. And you must be in a wind zone lower than high or lower. So in other words, if you're in a very high wind zone, you're still going to need a consent.
Yep, makes sense.
But that's quite an expansion on the rules, which will allow a lot of those sort of smaller hay sheds to be built without a consent.
Yep, fascinating stuff, Kerry. I could talk to you for ages. Speaking of wind zones and that sort of thing, so I guess a lot of the Huranui is in the high wind zone area, yeah?
That's the wee problem, is there's a lee zone that goes right through the Huranui district, which makes most of the wind zones above high.
Yep.
So unfortunately that exemption doesn't apply too much in the Huranui, but it might apply a bit in the Waimak, a bit more than where we are.
Yep.
But if you're close to the coast and the Waimak and Huranui, then that exemption would probably be fine because you'll be in a lower wind zone.
All right. Fantastic. Kerry Walsh, everybody, building officer from the Huranui District Council, just recapping. So people can pop in and see you guys in Amberley, but now every second Friday you can pop in to see a building officer at the following libraries, Hanmer Springs and also Cheviot, every second Friday. Thanks a lot, Kerry.
No worries. Thank you.
Lovely to meet you.
Thanks for
This
the
is
invite.
Compass FM. It's